Hello YouTube. But let me tell you one thing. My narcissistic husband could not care less about wisdom. What he's interested in are the pearls. What he enjoys doing is not only collecting those pearls, but stringing them one by one. Those pearls are very different. Those pearls look transparent, they shimmer, they're fluorescent, kind of orbs-like, very small. They change colors as well. If you've heard of Kirlian photography, that's what they look like. Those colors that almost, I don't know how to describe them, but with the pearls or the orbs, the color that's inside them are much more vibrant. And each color represents an emotion. For example, fire opal, which is my favorite color in the world, represents passion. Red represents anger. Lilac indicates confusion. Turquoise is for uncertainty. Yellow is for forgiveness. Blue is incomprehension. Orange indicates guilt. Pink indicates adoration. There are many more colors in that color wheel of emotions that I made up in my mind. All of us are born wearing those pearls, and what makes those pearls magical is that they regenerate by themselves. But like everything else in the human body, the regeneration process takes longer as you age. So it's vital to learn to look after them, not just to be aware of them, but to look after them. And looking after them is relatively easy to do until one enters the realm of the narcissist. With one flick of a narcissist's wrist, the necklace unclasps by itself, and one by one the pearls go from your neck to the narcissist's neck. The narcissist does it over and over without any fears or concern of ever getting caught. In the meantime, the original wearer is left feeling exposed, cold, and wondering what is happening to them. They don't know that the wolf, masquerading as a sheep that they love and adore, has stolen from them their pearls of humanity again. Every time. In real life, this is how it happens. And I'm going to give you some example of what my beloved has done to me over the years. Here's one example. Back in April, just last April past, one of my husband's childhood friend passed through town. So my husband and I went to meet him at his hotel downtown. Now, my husband is a rather slow and careful kind of driver. So much so that next to him, I come across as a maniac. And I'm not. But this is how he drives, and like everything else, makes me look always bad. So on our way there, his friend calls and asks us what was taking us so long. My husband, calm as usual, just mentioned the Sunday traffic. which wasn't completely true, but at the same time not entirely false. And by the time his friend called, we were already, yeah, he called because it was taking us a long time. On our way to actually, from the motorway, to take the exit to downtown, my husband was about to miss that turn off, and I mentioned to him that he could probably take that exit, or I can't remember. I asked him, why did he take that? He didn't take the exit, and he just reassured me and said that he knew exactly where I was going because he had Googled it up, and there was no problem. So I let it go. Now, understand that me personally, I know downtown. And when I say I know downtown, I know the area quite well. And this is because, when the kids were growing up, I took them there quite often because of either festivals, the theater, the parks, and the different festivals that they hosted down there. So I know the place. So I was very much surprised when we arrived at our destination to realize that my husband actually took an insane detour just to get to his friend's hotel, and which made us quite late. But on top of that, he insisted in parking even further away, so which will make us even more late. So of course, by the time we went to meet his friend inside the lobby of the hotel, I was slightly frazzled, slightly frustrated, and a bit confused. Let me take you back in time to revisit a few scenes similar with my husband. For those of you who've seen some of my prior videos, you'll have heard me mention that my husband travels a lot, which meant that I've had to pick him up at the airport quite often, and before me that was his family doing that. So on my part, I would say 90% of the time and above, the number of times I went and picked my husband up from the airport, my husband was always late coming out. My husband was always the last person to step out of those sliding doors in the meeting area to pick up passengers inside the airport. And it happened so often that after a while I decided that I was going to be smart, and decided then to start asking my husband to call me only after he had arrived or pick up his luggage. At first it was just when you arrive, just call me. That didn't work. Then I moved on to, okay, as soon as you pick up your luggage, then call me. Well, guess what? It didn't work. A few times I found myself going around the airport, circling the airport for sometimes an hour and a half, sometimes even more, waiting for my husband to step out. Nothing seemed to really work. My husband was always... The pattern just kept repeating itself. As I remember at times, especially at the beginning when we just got together, I'll go with his family to pick him up, and the same thing would always happen. Always. And whenever you ask, how is that? I mean, I take planes as well. I travel, other people. But how is it that you're always the last one out? My husband, every single time, has a very, very good excuse. Very good excuse. It's only now, because of all the information that I am now able to find out about his pathology, that I am able to now see clearly his game, and to understand that this is something that is calculated, that is premeditated, and he didn't just do it to me, he did it to just anyone and everyone, just like being late for meeting his friend. And this is not just any friend, this is a childhood friend, and this is a best friend. And all of it is to just get an emotional reaction out of the target. And that target can be anyone. There is no limit. There is not your special person, or you're an old person, or your sick person, your friend, your child. This doesn't matter at all. And this is a very good example of their lack of attachment, and how they can really use, it's all about them. Everybody else is fair game and to give them what they need. People like my husband are so skilled that when they get a reaction out of you, when they set you up to get that reaction out of you, it's not just one emotional pearl they get out of you. They are so good, people like my husband are so good and so skilled at what they do, that when they don't come at you and try to draw out of you just a single pearl. They always get out of you several emotional reactions, one after the other, and sometimes so fast that you are left confused and completely perplexed about what just occurred. You have no idea. And when, like me, you are now in a phase of understanding and discovering and connecting the dots with those memories of the whole thing, you can actually feel slightly dizzy and nauseous, because it's one emotional state after the other. It's like bang, 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 bang. You're giving him this one, and then this one, and then this one, this emotion, and this emotion, and this emotion. And it's a roller coaster. It's an internal roller coaster. For example, when I was asking my husband, why he was always the last one out, or actually I never said that. I never said, why are you the last one out? I'll just say, oh, what happened? Why are you so late? We've been waiting forever. The kids are hungry, or, I didn't know I was going to be here for that long, or why didn't you call me just on time and tell me you'll take a bit longer? This is how I really formulated my questions. And because he always had a very good reason, so I was left feeling inadequate in my feelings. Understand that by the point I'm actually asking him those questions, I've already experienced several different types of emotion prior to him getting inside the car. I would have already experienced worry, because it's a case of he's not here, was supposed to be here, what happened, or what could be the problem, or oh my god, did they lose his luggage again, or something like that. I already felt impatient, agitated, frustration, and really by the time I see him coming out of those sliding doors, from outside the airport, I'm slightly angry and annoyed. And then after his excuse, I was pushed to feel confused, because his excuses were always very good. So I end up feeling a little bit confused and even guilty for asking the question and for being irritated at the same time. And then I'll feel even more confused. And as if that wasn't enough to already feel all of those strings of emotion, then it's a case of I had to work even harder to suppress those hot emotion. That's all I can describe them as, because you still have some kind of temper inside, you know, and I had to work hard to suppress those emotions, because of course I feel guilty, of course I don't feel good, and I'm starting to feel that it's my responsibility to calm everything down and for everything to just, you know, be smoothed out. Now it makes me really, really feel sick in my stomach to realize that my husband was acutely aware of those all of those emotions that were rushing through me before, during, and after. And even the ones that I didn't articulate, even the one that my body I was able not to express through my body language, that my body didn't actually betray. He was aware of that because he is a master. He knows exactly what he's doing and what he wants to get out of you. So, and the simple reason is because his lateness is nothing more than a multi-layered, calculated, premeditated cover attack to make sure he gets his supply. This kind of attack is so covert, it takes years for most normal functioning people to notice what is happening to them. And once you notice, it takes forever to be able to disentangle the experience, to see it for what it is, and being able to articulate it properly. And it is actually exhausting. Loving and living with narcissists and their ability to constantly steal your emotional orbs from your neck does eventually leave you depleted and unable to regenerate shiny pearls or shiny herbs, you know, that are shimmering and vibrant and fluorescent. You become a little bit like a zombie, a living dead. And now I understand when some of those people talk about the technique of using gray rock or to go gray rock in order to protect yourself from them. And what I'm starting to think as well, that this technique is not just about defending yourselves from. Really, this method helps you preserve your life force, because that's what they are. Those emotions, good or bad, are a representation of your life force, and you never want those pearls to become dull, or to stop regenerating. And this is my explanation of the title that I put in a description box as The Narcissist Strings Pearls. And those pearls are your life force. And it's vital and it's important to learn how to preserve them, and protect yourself. Unfortunately, most of us come to this understanding a lot later when we're tired, and it's difficult to regenerate those good emotional orbs. living with them is draining. And they take so much out of you every day. My husband is hardly here. And despite that fact that he's hardly here, he still has a huge effect on me every day as I wake up in the morning. And it's a very strange situation to go through. I would hate to think once the divorce proceedings are going to start what it's going to feel like and what it's going to look like.